So when it comes to choosing a career, how do you pick that? And for certain people, it is so frustrating. It is so annoying. You have those people who know that they want to be doctors ever since they came out of the womb. But then for so many other people, it's so confusing and it's such a place of stress because we're trying to figure out where is it that we're going to be spending so much of our time. And if we could just try to figure out how we get a little bit more clarity, all of a sudden, things can be totally different when it comes to picking a career because so many people don't realize how much time they're going to be spending in it. They don't want to be wasting their time trying to go through other things. If we could try to figure out what it is we could do that we could start to get more clarity on that, OKclarity, we'll put that little pun over there, then all of a sudden we can start to move forward and really make sure that we could be as productive as possible doing something that we want to be doing. And I know there's so many different areas that we could talk about when it comes to picking a career, and we're going to try to touch on a bunch of them, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. But when it comes to choosing a career, we have to understand a few stats. You see, a lot of times when it comes to whether I should get a degree or not, that's a big question I get often with the young adults that I work with. So there's no really clear answer with that. And I think nowadays there's actually a pull, or there's a wave of people not looking to go to college and not looking to get certain degrees. And the reason why is because if you can get results doing something else, if you can be good in any type of business type of job, then it might be worth it not to be wasting so much time and money going to college. I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just different. It's just a different way that you can go about it. Then you have other people on the other hand who are saying, no, if you want to become a doctor or a lawyer, or even if you want to have some type of degree, it's something that you have to try to figure out. But what's interesting is that whether it's right or wrong, that's a whole nother debate. I recently had somebody come over. I was recently speaking to somebody who was very into the idea of getting a degree, very into getting certified or certificates about certain areas. And they were asking me a question about one of the clients that I was working with. And they were blown away by the fact that this person didn't have a degree, didn't have a certificate, and they were making a lot of money. And they were just like, wait, I don't get it. Because his wife was also in the same industry and she wasn't making as much money, and she was certified 5 times over. And that was one of the clearest points about this idea, that if we could start to say, hey, you know what's really important over here? What is that people are really looking for? Then all of a sudden we could start to figure out what it is that we want to be doing. And what's interesting also about degrees is that I believe it's above 70% of people who are working in the work field aren't working with the thing that they got their degree in. So if you think about that, that's mind-blowing stats, because if you are going to get a degree in 5, 10, 20 years, are you going to be working in that specific industry? Because we all know, if you're already in the job hunt for a while now, you know that at the same time, there's so many things that could keep coming up. There's so many, you might get fired, you might find a new opportunity, or maybe somebody in your community who might be helping you get a job. So it's really important and really crucial to understand that just because you have a degree, and I think this is one of the bigger pictures, which maybe we'll speak about over here if anybody's interested, between W-2 and entrepreneurship, that there's a certain safety net that people have when they have a W-2, that they know that they're going to be getting a paycheck at a certain time. But then again, you also have to realize that you could get fired at a certain time. And, I know certain people who've gotten burnt, that they've been in an industry for 20 years, and all of a sudden they get fired. And then when they're trying to get a new job, what ends up happening is that they don't have as easy of a time because they're older and they don't have necessarily that energy that the companies are looking for. And we need to understand and ask ourselves, regardless of whatever career we're doing, I think financial literacy, our investments are something truly important that we need to be working on simultaneously, because God forbid there is some quote disaster or something happens, we need to be able to prepare ourselves. And if you have 5, 10 years to be able to work on that, that should be a reasonable amount of time to really be able to focus both on your career and on your finances. There's a whole other debate whether you should look to enjoy what it is that you're doing versus not look to what you enjoy. Does it really matter? I know old school is who cares if you enjoy it or not? You need to put food on your table. And there is some say to that nowadays. But then again, nowadays there's so much more creativity that you could come up with. There's so many different areas and I would say industries that weren't necessarily around. This whole creative industry and this how-to industry in terms of really looking to make money based on your own personal experiences. So whether you're an artist or whether you're good at some other specific skill, you can start making money, good money, selling those specific skills and so selling those frameworks to other people. So that could be another industry. But how are you supposed to pick your job? What is it that you're supposed to do? And some advice that I got in terms of the direction that I should be leaning it towards is, number one is what are you good at? What is something that you have the skill in? More than most people, they don't have to be the best at it, but more than most people, I do have a specific skill. Another area we have to look at is what are you interested in? Because I think a lot of times people don't realize it, but if you could be more interested in the specific thing you're looking for, then that could be something that could really start to shift it. And number 3 is like, where do you have experience? Maybe you don't necessarily like it, but you do have experience doing something. And I think many times people don't realize it, but we have a lot more experience than we think, or than we give ourselves credit for. And if we can start to figure those 3 things out about what we're good at, what we enjoy, and where we have our experience, that can help guide us in the right direction. And I think so many people don't realize that if you have that ability, if you can start to move forward in a specific area of your life, that's going to really help you get more clarity. I heard this is a practical technique if you're looking to like try to figure out what career you want to get into. You could just literally Google top 100 jobs, then just go through the list and say, which ones do I like, which ones do I not like? And by doing that, you start to like realize, I have, a pull towards certain type of industry, or maybe there's like 2 or 3 different industries that I like, and I need to do more research. And once you find that out, then we have the ability to start to figure out where is it that we want to go. And so many people don't realize it, but if you could start moving forward in a specific industry, if you could start to take action in a specific industry, that's going to help you move forward. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, Bennett, that's nice, but I don't want to waste time. I want to know what it is already. And let me just tell you this. So many people waste so much time trying to figure out what it is that they want to be doing. And if you're one of those people, I'm talking about, because I was one of those people, that I wasted so much time that I didn't really figure out what it is that I wanted to do. And what we have to realize and what we have to try to figure out for ourselves is that if we don't decide on a specific direction, nothing's going to change. So many people are waiting for something to change. They're waiting to have this epiphany, but if they don't take action, whether it's searching for it or whether it's starting to get your feet wet, then we're not going to be able to find it. What we have to realize, and it's what I speak about in my book, when it comes to a decision, let's say like this, about which career I want to go into, and you have, let's say, a couple of opportunities, a couple of options. What we have to realize is that the right decision might be behind door number 5. And what we have to do right now in the moment is choose door number 1. Which one of the doors do we want? Do we want door 1A, 1B, or 1C? And once you get through door 1, there's going to be another room. And there's going to be door 2, A, B, and C. And we have to keep moving forward. And as long as we can continue to be decisive and move forward with our lives, that's going to be the thing that's going to shift everything. Because so many times people waste so much time trying to figure out what it is that they don't realize the invaluable stuff that they're missing out on. Because more important than what you get, and more important than what you get from your career, is who do you become in your career. And you could stop focusing on the result, which is most of the time the money, but you could start investing in yourself, then you become more valuable to the marketplace, and then people are willing to pay you a lot more money for your services. It's why so many people could charge a couple $1,000s for their time, because they know their value in the marketplace. They've worked on their specific craft. They were able to figure out different ways that they can market themselves in a way that people are willing to pay them thousands of dollars for their time. And if we could start to understand that and figure that out ourselves, that could be something that could be really, really awesome. So more important than what you get is who you become. That is a big Jim Rohn line. And Jim Rohn talks about that. That was like his whole thing. It's like, you have to become somebody from what it is that you're doing. Not just because you're going to be more valuable to the marketplace, but number 2 is like you're going to be growing. And when you grow, that is what life is about. Because once we stop growing, that's when we get bored. I was recently speaking to somebody, and she was telling me how she was switching departments. And the reason why she was switching departments is because she didn't really feel like she was growing anymore. She felt like she hit a ceiling and things were getting boring. And many times, if you're in a job and you've been doing it for quite a while, it can get boring. What we have to understand is that if we are stopping, if we're not continuing to grow, that's going to be the thing that's going to really hold us back from the success and from that feeling that we want. Because many people, it's not just about the money, but it's about the meaning. It's about what it is that I'm doing. And if we could start to do that, you can start to figure it out. Somebody just asked, am I a job coach? I'm not necessarily a job coach per se, but I do help young adults help with getting jobs and trying to coach them on terms of picking their career. So I don't call myself a job coach. I call myself a performance coach, but that is definitely one area that I definitely work on with a lot of different people. So what we have to try to figure out, what we have to try to work out is, what are the areas that we want to be working on? What's really holding us back? Do we have the fear that we're going to be wasting our time? Because personally, that was my biggest fear. My biggest fear was that if I don't pick the right thing, all I'm going to do is be wasting my time. So I might get stuck in this job for 6 months, and all of a sudden, this is not what I wanted to do. And then I just waste the last 6 months. And that is a very limited, scarce mindset. And what I didn't realize back then is that even if I would have had those 6 months, if I would have become somebody from those 6 months, if I would have gained a specific skill in that 6 months, that could be the thing that helped me to the next level and to the next level and to the next level until I reach my thing. And going back to the idea where 70% of people are not doing their work, there's, I believe, another stat that says people have 7 different jobs throughout their lifetime. So if you're trying to figure out what is that you want to be doing, understand what you're doing tomorrow is probably not going to be the last job that you ever have. And we have to try to figure out what it is we can start to do. We have to understand, why is it that we want a job in the first place? Is it just to keep us busy? Is it really trying to figure out, we just want to be, we want to do it for the money, we want to do it for the busyness, we want to do it for the meaning? Like, what is it that we're doing it for? Because then we can start to figure out which direction we can move in. And once we can start to figure that out, that could be a huge game changer when it comes to the success that we want. Because so many times people don't realize it, why it is that they're doing what they're doing. And if we could just get a little bit more clear in terms of why it is we're doing a thing, then guess what? We can start to move forward, we can start to take that action. And so many people come to me and they're so frustrated. They're, Ben, I just don't want to waste my time. I want to be able to just be there already. But if I could commit to you, in the next 5 years, you're going to be thriving in the industry that you want, would you take it? And I think most people say yes, but why aren't they acting like that? Why aren't they being more patient with it? And I think there's this urgency to get there already, to be there already. I for sure had that. And not until I was in my 30s did I find my career that I thought about. But it was only through searching and through finding and years of wasting, quote unquote, wasting time. Not even in an industry, but just like trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do. And if I would have had the mentor or the coach to help push me to just decide to pick something, just to see if something was right or not right, then I would be able to move forward. And once we understand that, once we can start to pick that out, that could be something that could be so life-changing, because so many people are so stuck. They're trying to figure out where it is that they want to be going, what it is that they want to be doing, and they're putting so much pressure on themselves. And because they're putting on so much pressure on themselves, they don't understand that, there's a little bit more that I can do. And that is something that we could all start to figure out. So what areas are you good at? What specific skills do you have? And I think for me personally, and actually I'll just say this for a lot of recent people, but if you're the type of person who has been having a really hard time to choose, so understanding that there's this industry out there that you have the ability to sell the skills or your experience can be something that can be really beneficial. And it's a whole industry out there, and there's like so many people and gurus that you could look at. But if you have experience doing something, like you can sell that experience. So just like personally, like I'm very big into personal development. That's like one of the areas that I really like talking about. I really like learning. I really like helping people with. And it's the reason why I created the course that I created, because I love this idea of personal development. I believe it's game changer. I believe that if you're not working on your personal development, then you're not really going to start to see the success that you want. And the reason why I started selling it is because I really believe it can be beneficial to other people. Because I've been in those places where decisions were hard for me to make. Choosing a career was hard for me to make. My low confidence was terrible. And I started to work on all these different areas of my life. And because of that, I now have experience that I can start to train other people. I can mentor other people in. So you need to ask yourself for yourself, like, what specific experiences do you have? Are you able to monetize it? Are you able to create something out of it? And you might have the imposter syndrome, but you have to figure out, what it is it for yourself that you can start to realize, hey, you know what? I have the ability to monetize. And if we can start to do that, if we start to change that, that could be something that could be really, really beneficial when it comes to the stuff that we're looking to do. So whether it's a specific skill that you have, or whether it's something else that you're doing in your own personal life, that could be something that you can start to monetize. And it's something I didn't realize. It's something I didn't know beforehand, but because of that, it was something that I didn't, I wasn't able to figure out until later on in life. And then I realized, I can start to really work on all these different things. So if we can start to recognize that, hey, there's certain skills that I have that I can start to monetize, that could be something that could be really helpful when it comes to the success that we're looking for. And I think so many times people don't realize it, but there are so many new industries out there. And I think especially with AI, I think industries are going to be shifting all the time. And if we're just staying on top of it, we're constantly searching and we're learning the basic skills that we could start to use, that could be the thing that could shift us to really look to take things to the next level. And I think so many people don't realize that and don't recognize that. And because of that, they're lost. They're not figuring out what it is that they want to be doing. And if you could start to say, hey, you know what? I do have certain skills. Not that, going back to the imposter syndrome, so many people have imposter syndrome, like, who am I to help somebody? And, even with me, like, yeah, who am I to help everybody? But guess what? I'm not helping people with things that I didn't necessarily do myself. So if there's somebody a step or two behind me that I know I can help, those are the people that I'm looking to help. And I think for all of us, if we could try to figure out what it is that we want to do, that could be something that could be really helpful. So when it comes to, the W-2 side of things, I would say get a list. Literally just go through a list of different specific careers, different jobs that you can start to do, and start to see which ones get interesting to you, and certainly start to move forward and try to figure out how it is that we could do it. Highly recommend speaking to somebody, whether it's, I think this is more the coaching area, but try to find a coach. I'm sure on OKclarity they have a million coaches. If you have a question, you can reach out to me. I'll refer you to somebody. But try to get real clear on terms of what it is you can start to do to move forward. And once you do that, then you have that ability to start to shift things. Because I think if we don't realize it, if we don't take that action, what ends up happening is that we're so stuck, and there's no reason why you need to be alone in this. I think a lot of people feel like they have to do it themselves, and there's no reason for that. And somebody, after a conversation or two, could really pull out a lot of different information, and then you have to work out the whole mindset and the fears and all that stuff, and that's the stuff that I enjoy. But we can start to work on that stuff to really make sure that we can take that action. And if we could just help the people who are a step or two behind us, that could be the thing that could shift it all for us. So what is it that you want to be doing? And I do want to preface the difference between the W-2 and the entrepreneurial world, because I think for me, I had no idea what I was getting myself into in the entrepreneurial world. I knew it'd be hard, but didn't realize how hard it was going to be. And I think getting that support and making sure that you have a clear plan and a path could be something that could shift it. And I'm not such a proponent of necessarily jumping in, burning the boats and whatnot, because I really think it can be really physically, mentally hard. And what we could try to and I was recently speaking to somebody who was interested in going to coaching, and he has a W-2 job now, and I said, you should start now while you have your W-2. You don't need to build a huge coaching practice, but if you could start to get your feet wet, you can start to build that branding and the marketing and what all it is that you want to be doing, I'm telling you, it's going to be so much more beneficial. So if you do have a job and you're looking to switch, I know that we're trying to figure out choosing a career, but let's say you do have a job and you're looking to switch careers, I would definitely recommend you starting to get your feet wet while you have that W-2 coming in, because I think that could be something that could be really beneficial, because entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. It does take time. Most of the time you're going to be feeling lonely. You're going to be feeling things aren't working. And then hopefully here and there you'll be getting a little bit of a hit of seeing success and recognizing that it is this roller coaster. And many people don't realize that, and they end up burning themselves up. And as long as we're learning the skills, and going back to what we spoke about earlier, as long as we're learning those specific skills, that could be the thing that's going to help us take things to the next level. Because if we're not learning the skills, if we're not looking to move forward with all it is that we're looking to do, and we're not looking to become somebody, then we're really going to miss out on so many great experiences that we're just throwing to the wayside of saying that, it's not something beneficial to us. So what is it that you want to be doing? What are those specific careers, the directions that you want to be doing? And then more important than what we decide is that we decide. And if you could start to choose certain careers that, certain steps that, maybe this is not my career that I want to be choosing, but you know what? If I take this job, I'm going to get really good at marketing. And I know that's going to help me for my next job. Or I'm going to take a sales job because I really want to learn about sales. And whatever it is that we're looking to do in whatever industry, that could be the thing that's going to help us. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to take them on now. We'll stand for another minute or so, and then let's see if I missed anything. Yeah, and I would say if you're trying to figure out, you're in a specific industry, and you do have, let's say 2 or 3 industries that you're interested in, I would speak to people. Definitely speak to people. Try to get experience that way, just to know which jump you should try to take first, and then commit to it. You don't have to be 100% certain about the decision. And I think most people are so caught up because they're not 100% certain. But if you could be 100% committed to this decision, that could be the thing that could really start to shift. So understanding that could be something that could be huge when it comes to the success that we want. That look to make a decision, look to be committed to the decision, understand when to pivot and when not to pivot. I think that's very confusing. And I find having some type of person, a mentor or coach on your side, could be helpful to make sure you're not just making an excuse, but understanding that all these different ideas we have the ability to work on, and we have the ability to choose. And I'm a big believer in choosing a career that you really enjoy, a career that you get fulfillment out of, not just meaning, because I think there are a lot of great teachers out there who are doing very meaningful work, but they don't necessarily feel fulfilled with the work that they're doing. And if you could get both meaning and fulfillment from our jobs, that could be something that could be totally shifting. Our whole lives are going to be different. And the fact that we spend so much time on our jobs, in it, and then even thinking about it, or the people that we're working with, that could be the thing that's going to really shift us. So If you have any questions, you feel free to find me at Coaching with Bennett. You can also find me on OKclarity. I'm over there. Feel free to DM me. I'd be happy to answer or try to help out however I can. But this is just my little spiel about choosing a career. Like I said, I work with the young adults now, as well as adults. But with the young adults, this is something that really comes up a lot in terms of choosing a career and trying to figure out what it is that we want to be doing to move forward. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can DM me, and we'll see everybody on the other side. Alrighty, have a great night, and we'll be in touch.